Hey there, Masters of the Universe Classics fans, this is Wesatron. Today we're taking a look at the Matty Collector Masters of the Universe Classics exclusive King He-Man action figure. This was just released in 2013, and this is the club exclusive for the year. Now, since this has been announced and as the premier figure for the club subscribers, they have since announced that also other characters will be made available only to subscribers, but that was kind of out of nowhere. So Fang Man just sort of appeared, and he was only for subscribers all of a sudden, which kind of sucks. But this guy is the one that they actually announced was going to be the exclusive. This is the guy that was going to sort of seal the deal on the subscriptions for 2013. And for me, this is actually the figure that did it. I'm a really big MYP fan. I really like the 2000 series, so seeing the sword in its distressed, beaten form was really the thing that I loved and got me to go in for the first time on the subscription. So I'm really excited to have this figure. Standard packaging that they've been doing forever with the lightning bolts here. We do have Hero, Son of He-Man here on the front of the blister, which is interesting. Bottom's just got the typical Mattel stuff. On the back, we've got our cross cells with King He-Man, Grayskull, Prime, Goddess, King Randor, Spectre, if you want to call it that. And then just a quick look right here. If anybody would like to pause and read that, that's his bio. Basically talking about Dare and Hero and how the sword here is his old practice sword, and he uses it again since he passed on the power of Grayskull to Dare. So I'm, like I said, very excited to have this figure. Let's get him out of package and see what he's like. And just real quick before we get started, one of the big draws to this particular piece is that it includes the last mini-comic. As far as I know, this is the last one that they're going to do, and the only way to get it was through the subscription here. There's a map that's also included with this, but I'm not really going to worry about that because it doesn't actually come with the figure. It's just part of the package. But it is the Masters of the Universe at last. Great shot of Hordak here on the front with Keldor and Miro up there. Very cool. What's interesting about this book is that it's not actually the origin of Skeletor, even though it says Secret Origin of Skeletor. It's not the origin of Skeletor because we already saw that in MYP. It's actually the origin of Keldor, or at least Keldor's story on how he came to start going after the throne. So it's kind of interesting. It's a neat little story. I don't want to show too much of the art because I don't want to give anything away for those of you who do want to find out on your own, but as you can see, the art is very nicely done inside. Very cool. The story was written by Scott Neitlich, or Neitlich, however you want to say it. I wasn't aware that he was the one actually writing these, so that's interesting. And the art is by Wellington Alves, I'm not sure. But, yeah, nice little inclusion here. Very cool. I'm glad they tossed it in. And, yeah, I'm sure if you look hard enough, someone's probably posted PDFs of all the pages, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview, I guess, of the story there. So, neato. Let's get to the figure. Here we have King He-Man out of packaging. I just have a sort of a basic about to strike type of pose going there, and since he does come with a staff also, I have to assume that he maybe fights kind of like Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings movies or the Hobbit movie, where kind of, swings with the staff and strikes with the sword, so that's pretty cool. Now this figure, as many have noted, takes a lot of design cues from other characters or other versions of himself or what have you. Let me get some of these accessories out of the way. And that's very, very clear in his costuming. For one, the decision to go with the longer hair and the beard rings very true to King Randor. And of course the crown as well, but I mean that comes part and parcel with being king. So he's definitely taken some cues from his dad here. The blue in the cape, blue here in the belt area. He took some gold from Hero, which I mean also is on Randor, and may just be a kingly type of thing. But I like the way they kind of tie that together. The red H, or at least it always kind of looked like an H to me on the Hero belt buckle or sash or whatever you want to call that. PP flap. So they got, like, the bright blue and gold and everything. A lot of people say they don't like the blue because I think it's too Randorish and not enough He-Man-ish, but it's just kind of strange anyway that this is King He-Man and not just King Adam, because, I mean, he's not He-Man anymore, so he's just a really muscular dude. So I'm not really sure how they want to go about with that, but I actually think it looks really good. I don't have a problem with Adam looking different than He-Man. It seems like that's just a natural kind of thing to me. I mean, Adam is a different person from He-Man. I mean, he becomes He-Man, but doesn't mean he has to dress like the hero. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I think the colors actually go together well, and I think it makes him kind of stand out as his own unique character, which is very cool. They did use, like, the standard type of bracers and everything. They're just painted in a brighter gold. We've got Hero's boot pieces here with the shoes from Randor, I think it is. And these were also used on, Zodak. So very cool. Unfortunately, the cape is attached. It's like, actually glued on there. If this cape was kind of held on the way that, the armors can always be taken off via a little peg system on the side, if it was able to be pulled off in that same way, I think a lot more people would be drawn to this, because I think, if you look at this without the cape, if you just kind of pretend like the cape's not there, that's actually kind of an awesome looking He-Man, like a nice variant just on its own. Just, it's a neat, kind of change to him. But everybody's got a problem with that cape, and I think if you could pull that off, and there was, maybe a sheath for the sword back there, you'd have an awesome extra He-Man lying around. That would be very cool. But, I didn't design the toy, so I can't say much about that. What I can say is that they did a pretty good job on the head sculpt. I very much dig how he looks. His beard does kind of cut up a little bit. You notice here, it makes his face look very angular. What I think that they were trying to go for is having a longer goatee area and shorter beard on the side. But the way it comes out is making his face look, as I said, very pointy, very angular. The He-Man version of Adam, I guess you could call, has a much squarer jaw. So, now granted, that is when he becomes He-Man, and it also depends on if you subscribe to the MYP idea, where it's a skinny kid who becomes this big muscle-bound dude, or if he was kind of already a muscle-bound dude who just happened to wear pink, and becomes another guy who just wears armor and nobody happens to notice he looks exactly like their son or cousin or whoever. Yeah, very strange, but as far as the head sculpt goes, it is nice on its own. I think part of the reason why it appears so angular is because the head sits very high to make room for this hood back here. They fashioned a hood for him to have attached to his cape, which is kind of strange. Maybe a nod to Paternity He-Man. I'm not really sure why they went with it, but if they hadn't had the hood there, I think they could have set the head a little lower, and it would have looked a little more properly scaled, properly sculpted. Not that it looks bad, it's just, it's, like I said, angular. The Iron Cross on mine, which I assume, because this, I believe, no, that is actually a different piece, isn't it? Yeah, okay, this is actually a different piece. I was going to say, my Iron Cross is off to the right, so that may be something I can actually fix. So I might be able to peel that off and resituate it and stuff, but yeah, it's definitely off. I mean, if his nose is the center line of his face, it's way the frack off. So that's not good. Very nice job, though, on the armor here. Kind of soft muscle details, but they still got, the Iron Cross in there. The gold is a very reflective gold, as is the blue that they decided to use. Very, very nice job overall. I really do like the look of him. I know not everybody does, but I think it's cool. Underneath his armor, all he's really got is a gold tank top in this same color reflective gold here, which is kind of cool, actually. When he's got his armor off, it kind of just looks like training gear, and it sort of makes him look like a wrestler, which is kind of awesome. So he's got his own staff, which I don't have Randor, so I'm not really sure if this is exactly like Randor's staff, or if this is a new design, but it does have the Iron Cross on it. Blue paint in the middle and little silver accents in the corners, and the rest of it is just solid gold, but they did a very nice job of, like, every so often, just these little, like, indented flourishes, and then this really nice flourish on the bottom. It just, kind of makes it look cool, makes it look segmented, put together, which is very neat. I never really thought of He-Man or Adam as being the kind of guy who would like use a staff. I guess maybe he would just have it kind of like by his throne, but he wouldn't really need it himself. I always saw him as more of a guy who just like carried a sword and ruled by the hand, but I don't know. That's not for me to decide, but you know, it is a nice accessory and it fits with the color scheme of the figure. The real draw, though, I think, is the Power Sword from MYP, which is awesomely redesigned here to be a practice sword. And they've got it all nicked up and beat up, and it just looks freaking amazing. It is absolutely beautiful. We've got all these nice little rust-colored flourishes all over the place. Big bolts all over the place, missing bolts. The broken claws here on the edges on this side and here, where it's just been beaten off. This is all taped up with like leather. The leather has this great kind of lighter color in between, so it really does have a leather quality to it. It looks very, very nice. And the end of it, you can see, is a piece of wood sticking out that's been busted off at the tip, which is just really, really cool because it looks like it's, you know, this has seen a lot of battle, but it's like something he never wants to let go of. Like, it's his sword, and he's not just going to, like, take any sword into battle. It's his trusty sword, and this is the one he's going to use, which I think is really, really cool. Very, very awesome. Now, unfortunately, there is no way to store this on him. It has to go in his hands at all times. I really, really wish they had done something on the outside of the cape, maybe, or maybe gotten rid of the hood and angled this down a little bit so you can kind of stuff it back there, sort of like you can do with Carnivus. So that's a bit of a bummer. I'm a big fan of sheaths or frogs or anything they can. I mean, even if they just hung something off the armor so he could wear it at his side, that would have been kind of cool. Maybe a little big for that, but it would have been neat. So, articulation-wise, this guy has the standard Motuc articulation, which is a ball-jointed head, and unfortunately, he's very restricted by the collar here. If you take all of this apparatus off, he actually has very, very nice range of motion on the head, but as you can see here, he's just kind of limited with what he can do because of that, because it's just bumping up no matter which way you turn it. So that's unfortunate, but he does have good range of motion if this part is off. Swivel hinges in the shoulders. The hinges go about out to there, and of course swivel all the way around. You're just going to have to deal with the cape a little bit. Swivels in the biceps. Hinges at the elbows. Right side gets pretty good, almost 90 degree. Left side, I never noticed this on He-Man, but his bend is actually pretty shallow here. He doesn't get a 90 degree or even close to 90 degree bend, so that's interesting. Swivels in the wrists. Hinge in the abs, so a nice ab crunch, very far forward. Like if this is your standard point, then you get that far forward. This armor here is flexible, so it's not going to hurt you too much. And then you get very far back too, so very, very nice. Swivel in the waist. We've got swivel hinge, swivel hips at a 40 or 90 degree angle, so they will go about that far forward because of the design of the skirt. They go about that far back, which is very nice. There's nothing, there's no butt sculpt to kind of hinder the backwards motion, which is great. Out to the side, you get very, very nice motion. And then swivels at the top of the thighs, right up here, and it's kind of covered up by the sculpt. So very nice design on that, very cool. Got hinges in the knees, which get about 90 degrees, very solid looking. Swivels in the boot tops. So very nice range of motion there. The boots themselves are actually very, very pliable plastic, so they won't hurt articulation. And then we've got, interestingly enough, they redesigned the boots here, this boot piece, with solid pegs here. Like, you know, on the old figure on Zodak and Hero, these are holes that have pegs through them, and this is the solid version. So I guess they actually redesigned and remolded this entire piece just for that, which seems strange to me, but I mean, it's cool, I guess. So that's your standard foot position. You get back about that far, and back to standard, and then forward about that far. So not bad range in the ankles. There is a rocker, but the motion on it is so slight, it's almost like, why did they even bother? I say go big or go home. And if you're not really going to incorporate rockers into it, like if you're not going to make it part of the flexibility of the figure, why even include it? I mean, just you can count it as a point of articulation. It seems silly. So yeah, very cool action figure. All things all said, I really, really like the look of this guy. I really like his design. Everything is very, very nice. he's got a cool look to him. I mean, I know people are going to have their own opinions on it, but I really, really do like the look of him. I mean, he does look like a grown-up Adam. I dig the scar. I dig the lighter color hair, the big beard. This looks like this is who Adam could become, and I really think that that's awesome. So let me just get He-Man in here real quick, just so you have a quick comparison of how they actually look next to each other. Very similar in skin tone. Young He-Man is just a shade darker, a shade oranger maybe. But as you can see in the face where I was talking about how he has a much squarer jaw and his looks much more angled. And as I said, part of that is just because I think the head is set a little high. And if you look at the side, his nose is much higher than He-Man's is. So, yeah, it just, I think, sits a little high is all. As I said, this, personally, I could have done without. I think it would have been cooler to give him a new, unique shield. That would have been much more interesting for me. But, you know, to each his own on that. You know, I don't get to make those decisions, as I said. So this was about $25, if I remember right, is the going rate for subscribers right now. And at $25, I absolutely think it's a solid buy. I mean, it's a once-a-year type of deal. This figure is not going to be remade, resold in any other way. It's just, this is the guy. I imagine if they ever really wanted to revisit, if they just had tons of space left in the roster and they wanted to revisit it, they might make some concessions for the fans, like a red cape or something. I don't know, but as it is, this is currently King He-Man, and I think he's a really cool action figure. I think he really embodies the look and style of MYP, which as much as everybody wants to hate, you know, Four Horsemen did help design those, so, you know, if you hate one thing, you gotta hate the other. I think they're really cool designs, and I think this guy captures it. For people who say that it's too sci-fi or whatever, I mean, you have to remember that Adam was walking around in purple tights, and he just happened to have fuzzy underwear. Purple and pink tights, and then he just transforms into a guy who looks like this. There's nobody else really who looks like this. I mean, everybody's got mechanical bits and parts and buckles here. I mean, it's you know, what do they call it? Not sword and sorcery, but sandals and something, I can't remember. But it's a mix of sci-fi and fantasy. So, you know, don't hate. It's cool. It's a very nice costume. If you look at it for what it is, I really think it was a cool design. Cool execution. Very good job, Mattel. I dig it. I'm all for it. Thank you for putting the new ankles on it, because this guy is still want to fall over. Yeah, excellent figure, in my opinion. I know everybody's going to have their own opinion about it, because it is a new kind of look, not really a new character, but a new version of a character everybody loves. So let me know what you think about the character. Let me know what you think about this toy. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the box below. I'll be glad to answer them. Anything you think I went over too fast, I'd love to help you uncover your decisions on this figure. It is kind of hard to tell just from looking at a review, but any way I can help, please let me know. Thanks, guys, for stopping by, and if you need anything, just give me a holler. Appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.